My name is Stephen Shaffer. I am the president of Cologne Container Terminal. CCT is a subsidiary of Evergreen Marine, and CCT has been in operation for 26 years. I have been in Panama for 5.5 years in this capacity as president. I wear a second hat as well, which is president of the Cologne Logistics Park, which is one of the projects we have been developing since I've been here.
Very interesting, and welcome, Stephen, here to TOC Americas 2023. You talk about in your presentation about commoditization.
Mm-hmm.
Please correct me if I'm pronouncing that word wrong. And if you can please expand on the topic. What is a commodity? What is
Sure.
it very important in the industry?
Sure, it is. You can apply it to any industry. When we think of commodities, we think of sometimes the basic food items in your cabinet, sugar or milk or eggs. It doesn't matter what provider, what name is on it, the price is usually the same. And what that usually implies is that there are very low margins to that business as well, usually very sensitive to small changes in transportation costs or production costs, labor costs. And so what I talk about in my presentation is the gradual commoditization of the terminal business model as it relates to transshipment terminals in Panama and the region for that matter. That over time, from the beginning, the first transshipment terminal in the early 90s in the Americas was MIT, subsequent CCT, then PPC. But at the time, other ports around the region were not offering transshipment services. They were gateway terminals, doing primarily import-export. However, after about 10 years, they saw that transshipment was a good business too. They began getting into that business because their customers also wanted that business. But over time, that means that your rate growth and your margin growth go down, and you begin to compete not just with terminals in your own market, you're competing with terminals around the region, because the price is then set by the regional price. So that is a commoditization process of a terminal operations model. And that is something that we have to deal with and face. And that is the only way to deal with it is really to diversify that business model, to go beyond what you typically offer, but to offer something else that has value to the customers that you have.
Provide a different kind of supply to the demand that exists in the market, basically.
You have to reestablish the value proposition for them. In the beginning, the value proposition was transshipment, was a new service in the Americas. So there was value. Carriers had that service in Asia for many years, so they understood. But in the Americas, it was new. Now, it's very standard. There are many transshipment hubs all around the Caribbean basin offering essentially the same service.
And what is the biggest challenge that you have faced in the implementation of this model?
Well, there have been several challenges. There was COVID, a period where we couldn't build because there were restrictions on construction. There were regulatory challenges because the authorities, in order to implement this project the way we wanted, the authorities had to modify certain tax codes and customs rules to allow a terminal to perform the functions of a logistics park. However, because they've never seen it operate anywhere else like that, I have, but they have not. When you bring something new to them, it is as though you had just stepped off a spaceship from Mars, and they just cannot believe it.
Of course.
But there's also a great deal of path dependency and status quo thinking in the minds of many people within government authorities. Many people's lives are built around status quo. They're mostly concerned with doing the same thing that they've been doing for many, many years. So to suggest something new to them, that is sometimes a really big challenge, and that can take time. You also have other players in the market who want to protect what they have and do not want your business model to take off.
Of course.
So you have a number of people, who really would like to keep things the way they are. But as someone who is attached to a shipping line, as somebody who has to find a way to build the market and not just let it go by itself, you sometimes then have to step in yourself and do it yourself. And that's basically been my approach.
Okay, and definitely very interesting. And last but not least, what are your expectations from this TOC Americas 2023?
It's a networking event for terminal operators, of course, and it's the kind of industry where we see each other from time to time over many, many years, so that over, say, 20 some odd years, you know each other from different places, and there's a lot of continuity in the business that way. That people who come into the business tend to stay in the business, and you don't see that much, let's say, people leaving after 10 years and going on to something completely different. But the other very tangible benefit of going to the TOC is meeting vendors, suppliers with new technological, say, gadgets or solutions. And those are things that they're deploying elsewhere in the world, and it's your opportunity to see what the industry is doing elsewhere as well with technology. And so some of these solutions that we are just about to employ throughout the terminal are solutions that I came across at prior TOC conferences. So the vendors I met there, followed up with them, and eventually we got around to actually agreeing to move forward with those projects. So this is, to me, there's a very tangible benefit to getting to develop a relationship with these different vendors, stay in touch, if not now, maybe later, but to also stay attuned to what is happening in the rest of the world with technology.
All right. Thank you so much, Stephen, very
My
much
pleasure.
for coming here and taking your time to answer our few questions. I greatly appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you.